Today's video entails a Russian bride, a lusty love triangle, and a desperate search for time travel. And it only gets crazier. Before Anna Repkina was found in an Oregon forest with a shotgun blast to the head and surrounded by trash in April 2017, she was a vibrant, happy, 27-year-old Russian woman who'd found love in America. Or so she thought. Back in Russia, Anna was known as a funny, bright woman who always had a pleasant word for anyone she was around. A hardworking and driven young woman, she was proactively seeking a relationship on online dating sites when she met Will Hargrove, an auto mechanic with an affinity for all things Russian. The two began a year-long online relationship, bonding over heavy metal music and cinema via thousands of messages and video chats. Soon, Anna had booked a ticket to America to meet her Prince Charming. The couple spent 10 days fortifying their fairy tale relationship with trips to the Oregon coast in Will's pricey sports car and long fireside conversations. They decided their love was more than an online flirt fest, and Anna went home with an engagement ring. What she didn't know was that her road to love had a roadblock. Her name was Michelle Chaves, Will's girlfriend. Michelle and Will met in 2015 when he was a passenger in her taxicab. The relationship started slowly. Michelle was in a failing marriage with 2 children, and the attention she received from always gregarious Will was just what she needed. The two grew closer, and Will moved into the home Michelle shared with her family, renting a spare room, all the while planning to eventually leave her husband for Will. She even gave him her wedding ring as a symbol of her dedication and a promise of what was to come. When weeks turned into months, and Michelle still hadn't left her husband, Will decided to move on and started perusing the Russian dating sites. That's when he met Anna. When Christmas 26 arrived, so did Anna. Will was still living in Michelle's house, and he and Anna holed up in his bedroom for the holiday. It was the last Christmas she would ever see. On New Year's Eve, as Anna and Will were going out to celebrate, Will introduced the 2 women. They shook hands and exchanged pleasantries. Anna, none the wiser to the unusual relationship going on behind her back, went back to Russia once again, full of love for her new American fiancé. Michelle, however, was enraged. And when Anna came back again in March 2017 with the intention of marrying Will, she put her foot down. Anna was not to be in her house. Will moved out and rented an apartment, and Anna moved in. As she adjusted to her new American life, Michelle and Will continued their relationship. He would often disappear, leaving Anna to call his friends and coworkers, inquiring as to his whereabouts. Things may have continued on that same vein forever if it weren't for one fateful Facebook post. Excited about her upcoming nuptials, Anna had posted a picture of her engagement ring. A ring Will had told her was a family heirloom from his grandmother. A ring Michelle knew well. It was hers. In a fit of rage, on March 22, 2017, Michelle sent Anna a curse word-laden Facebook message telling her about the relationship between her and Will. Will assured Anna that Michelle was just a crazy ex-girlfriend, and Anna wrote it off as a jealous attempt to sabotage her relationship. But the 2 women were now enemies. Michelle saw Anna as a stubborn, bitter woman who refused to go home when not wanted. Anna saw Michelle as a ticked-off ex-girlfriend who refused to let go. A short 3 days later, Anna and Will headed to the sandy Oregon coast for their wedding. Or that's what Anna thought. She wore the wedding dress she'd brought from Russia and sat in the car as Will went into Walmart to buy the wedding bands for the ceremony. Security footage shows Will on the phone as he looks over the jewelry section. He was talking to Michelle, arranging plans for the two to meet later that night, assuring her of his love. When Anna and Will arrived at their destination, they were shocked to find nothing. No wedding officiant, no wedding guests, no wedding. Or at least Anna was shocked. Will had never arranged an officiant, or a marriage license, or guests, or a ceremony. He stood with Anna on the empty beach, outraged, as he called the missing officiant and then reported to Anna that something had come up and there would be no wedding that day. In reality, he called a video game store. Will and his heartbroken bride-to-be went to McDonald's instead, where the only images of Anna in her wedding dress were ever captured. Meanwhile, Michelle had had enough. She gave Will an ultimatum, me or her, and a deadline, April 19th. They promised each other that by that date, Michelle would be free of her husband and Will free of Anna. Will also had another deadline approaching. The insurance on his fancy sports car was due by midnight on the 16th. He didn't have the money to pay it, and without insurance, the loan company would repossess his car immediately. On April 15th, Michelle and Will arranged a dinner at his apartment. Anna had finally left, he'd told her. But only hours before the designated time, Will called to tell her Anna was back. She'd showed up unannounced and wouldn't leave. He needed another day to talk to her into leaving for good. "I'll have this permanently fixed by 1800 tomorrow," he texted her. Michelle wasn't satisfied and sent text after text to no reply. She called many times, but Will had turned off his phone. Assuming he had chosen Anna, Michelle spent the night in tears and headed to her parents' house the next day. It was Easter Sunday, 2017. To her surprise, Will called her that evening around 4:30. He'd been on the coast, he explained. He'd hit a deer and gotten a flat. He said he and Anna had gotten into a terrible fight and she'd finally taken all her things and left. They made plans to see each other later, and Will went on a few errands. Security cameras show him making withdrawals from two ATMs, one for $200 and one for $600. Both withdrawals were from Anna's account. He is then seen depositing $160 into his own account. Later that night, he paid his car insurance, just a few hours before the deadline. A groundskeeper out walking his dog found the body of Anna Repkina the following day, April 17th. When police began their investigation, Will was at home on his computer. He was searching the internet for information on time travel. He'd even found a Reddit forum and made a post saying he'd made a terrible mistake on April 16th and desperately needed to go back in time to correct it and message strangers on WhatsApp offering his soul as payment if they could just help him find a way back in time. When nothing panned out on his time travel search, he went on a shopping spree more fitting to a 12-year-old boy, buying hundreds of dollars in toys, video games, and candy. Shortly afterward, texting a friend that he was spending money he shouldn't be in an attempt to distract himself. By this time, the police investigation into Anna's demise was well underway. The piles of trash around her body seemed odd to detectives, who found a fast food receipt of particular interest. It was dated and time-stamped. When investigators checked with the restaurant, they were given the name of a customer who'd made the purchase, Kevin Thomas. Mr. Thomas was located and questioned, revealing that he and his close friend, Will Hargrove, had eaten at that fast food restaurant the day Anna was killed. Not only that, but that Will had borrowed his shotgun and still hadn't returned it. Police immediately picked up Will and brought him in for questioning. When asked about his whereabouts at the time of Anna's demise, he said that he and Michelle had taken a drive where he dumped some garbage at a convenience store. They brought Michelle in, who first lied for Will, but quickly told the truth when pushed. She didn't really know where Will was during that time. With one lie already under his belt, detectives asked him about Anna, and more lies poured out. He told them that he'd met Anna while walking around town and knew little to nothing about her, only that they'd gone on 2 dates around the middle of March, and she wanted more out of the relationship than he did. He claimed he'd broken it off and hadn't seen her since. Will's lies piled up, and the hole he was digging for himself grew deeper, until the detectives asked him to stand and place his hands behind his back. He was under arrest. It took almost a year before he saw the inside of a courtroom where his defense team tried to place doubt on Michelle. Was she involved in what happened to Anna? Defense attorneys showed evidence that Michelle's phone had pinged in the exact area where Anna's body was found only a few weeks earlier. Not only that, but police found Anna's phone in her possession days after Will's arrest. Michelle denies any involvement in Will's deadly decisions, and police decided further evidence proves she was just unlucky in love. They found the shotgun in the back of Will's car with only his fingerprints on it. They also found surveillance camera footage of Will on the night of Anna's demise that showed what they believe to be 2 tiny blood spots on Will's head, as well as footage of his car in the area where her body was found. The trial took a month to complete, with over 70 witnesses testifying, including Anna's mom. Will Hargrove was found guilty and sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Do you think Michelle had anything to do with it? Will Will get parole after 25 years? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.